talent. It's training. Because decision-making under pressure isn't about knowing the right answer. It's about knowing how to think. It's about creating space when there is no space. Controlling emotion when it wants to control you. And making the best possible move, even when the situation is working against you. Look at the people who succeed under pressure: leaders, athletes, entrepreneurs, military strategists. They're not just lucky. They don't just go with their gut and hope for the best. They follow principles, systems, strategies that allow them to move with clarity when everything around them is chaotic. Because under pressure, weak minds collapse. Strong minds slow the game down. They see what others miss. They stay calm while others panic. And that's not a gift. That's a skill. The good news? You can learn it. So let's talk about it. The first thing I want to talk about is making decisions when the pressure is on. Pressure does strange things to people. It makes some hesitate. It makes others rush. And it makes most people second-guess themselves at exactly the wrong time. You ever notice how some people seem to thrive in high-stakes situations while others completely fall apart? The difference isn't intelligence. It's not even experience. It's training. Because decision-making under pressure is not about knowing the perfect answer. It's about knowing how to think when the moment is moving too fast for clear answers. Most people don't prepare for pressure. They wait until it hits, and then they hope for the best. They tell themselves they'll know what to do when the time comes. But when the time comes, they freeze. Because pressure, it doesn't give you extra time to think. It speeds everything up. And if you're not already prepared, you'll either react emotionally, make the safe move out of fear, or do nothing at all. So how do you make the right decision when the pressure is real? How do you make sure you're the one who stays clear while everyone else loses their mind? First, you slow the game down. You create space. Because pressure forces people into a rush. It makes them feel like they have to act immediately. But acting fast and acting smart are two different things. And if you let pressure convince you that speed is your priority, you will make a mistake. Ever notice how the best athletes, the best leaders, the best performers always seem to have more time than everyone else? It's not because they're slower, it's because they don't panic. They create space between stimulus and response. And in that space, they see what others miss. When you feel pressure, your instinct will tell you to act fast. Fight that instinct. Instead, breathe. Literally. Take a deep breath. Because in that moment, what you are doing is regaining control over your mind. You are stopping yourself from reacting emotionally. And that small pause is often the difference between a clear decision and a reckless one. Now, slowing the game down is one part of it. The next part, you need to shift your focus from how you feel to what you know. Because pressure creates emotion. And emotion is the enemy of clear thinking. When you're under pressure, your body reacts like it's in danger. Your heart beats faster, your breathing gets shallow, your vision narrows. You stop seeing the big picture and start obsessing over the immediate problem. And that's why people under stress make irrational decisions. They're not thinking anymore. They're just feeling, and feelings don't care about logic. So when you feel the pressure rising, shift your focus. Stop asking, how do I feel about this? And start asking, what do I know for sure? Because when you focus on what you know, you take back control from your emotions. You stop reacting and you start deciding. Think of it like this. Pressure wants to speed you up and pull you into your emotions. Your job is to do the opposite. Slow down. Think logically. Create space between what's happening and how you respond. Because if you don't control that space, something else will. Fear, stress, panic, ego. And none of those things will make the decision you actually want to make. That's why preparation matters. People think high-pressure decision-making is all about what you do in the moment. But in reality, your decision is only as good as the preparation you did before the moment came. Think of a fighter stepping into a ring. They don't have time to plan during the fight. They're acting on instinct. But what kind of instincts do they have? Only the ones they trained. Same with you. If you haven't trained yourself to handle pressure, you will default to emotion. And emotion makes bad decisions. So how do you train for pressure? You prepare before the moment comes. You create strategies ahead of time so that when the pressure's on, you already know what to do. Because under stress, the last thing you want to do is think from scratch. You ever notice how top performers have routines? It's not because they need structure. It's because routine takes thinking out of the equation. They don't have to decide how to start their day, how to warm up, how to prepare. So when pressure comes, they don't have to think. They just execute. That's how you win under pressure. You create structure. You build habits that take emotion out of the equation. And you prepare so that when the moment arrives, you're not figuring it out. You're following a plan. Because the worst time to make a plan is when you're already in the middle of the fight. The next thing I want to talk about it. The role of emotion in high-pressure decisions. Pressure doesn't just test your logic, it tests your emotions. And if you don't control your emotions will control you. You ever see someone make a completely irrational decision in a stressful situation? Maybe they lashed out at the wrong person. Maybe they gave up too soon. Maybe they doubled down on a mistake instead of correcting it. And you're watching it unfold, thinking, why would they do that? The answer is simple. They weren't thinking. They were feeling. Because under pressure, your emotions will try to take over. Fear, frustration, excitement, anger, whatever you feel in the moment will try to make the decision for you. And if you let that happen, you'll end up making a choice that satisfies the emotion instead of solving the problem. That's how people destroy opportunities. That's how people lose relationships, lose deals, lose momentum. Not because they didn't know the right move, because they let emotions push them into the wrong one. So if you want to make better decisions under pressure, you need to separate emotions from logic. That doesn't mean ignoring your emotions. It means recognizing them without letting them dictate your actions. Here's the problem. Most people don't even realize when their emotions are making their decisions for them. They feel a sense of urgency, so they rush. They feel offended, so they lash out. They feel doubt, so they hesitate. They think they're being logical, but they're really just following the strongest emotion in the moment. That's why awareness is key. Before you make any major decision under pressure, you need to ask yourself, am I making this choice because it's the right one or because it feels good right now? Because sometimes the right choice doesn't feel good. Sometimes the right choice is walking away when you want to fight. Sometimes the right choice is pushing forward when you feel like quitting. Sometimes the right choice is saying no to an opportunity that looks good but isn't right for you. And if you let emotions make the decision, you'll choose relief over progress. You'll choose comfort over growth. You'll choose what makes you feel better in the moment instead of what moves you forward in the long run. That's why discipline matters. Discipline is what separates people who can handle pressure from people who collapse under it, because pressure doesn't create weakness, it reveals it. And when you see someone make a terrible decision in a high-stakes moment, you're not seeing a one-time mistake. You're seeing the result of years of untrained emotions. So how do you train yourself to keep emotions from hijacking your decisions? You start before the pressure hits. Because once you're in the heat of the moment, it's already too late. Here's a principle to remember. You don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your training. That means whatever habits you've built when you're calm, those are the habits that will show up when you're under stress. If you've trained yourself to pause before reacting, you'll pause under pressure. If you've trained yourself to step back and analyze a situation before making the move, you'll do that under pressure. But if you've trained yourself to react emotionally, to let fear or frustration or ego dictate your choices, that's exactly what you'll do when the moment is critical. So let's talk about training. Because if you want to make better decisions under pressure, you need to start training your mind right now. First, you need to build delayed response time into your thinking. What does that mean? It means that before you react to anything, you give yourself a window to think. It doesn't have to be long. It could be as simple as taking a deep breath, counting to 5 in your head, or repeating a phrase that keeps you centered. Something like pause, think, decide. Because that tiny moment of hesitation, that's where discipline lives. Most people don't make bad decisions because they don't know any better. They make bad decisions because they don't take the time to apply what they know. So if you can build even a 1-second gap between feeling an emotion and acting on it, you give your brain the chance to step in. Now, the second thing you need to train is your ability to detach from the moment. Because when you're inside the pressure, everything feels urgent. But if you can take a mental step back, you can see the situation for what it really is. Think about it. If you were advising someone else in your exact situation, what would you tell them to do? That's detachment. That's the ability to remove yourself from the chaos and see the decision from a logical point of view. And that ability, that's what keeps emotions from running the show. So if you want to start making better decisions under pressure, you start practicing now. Build the habit of pausing before reacting. Train yourself to step back and see the bigger picture. And most importantly, stop making decisions based on temporary emotions, because emotions change. But the consequences of your decisions, those stick around. Discipline under pressure is a skill. And if you train it, you will be the one who stays in control while everyone else falls apart. Okay, I want to talk about how you can think clearly when the stakes are high. Pressure distorts reality. It speeds things up. It makes small problems feel huge. It makes you second guess yourself, doubt what you know, and sometimes even abandon logic altogether. And once your mind starts spiraling, clarity is the first thing to go. But here's the truth. Your ability to think clearly under pressure has nothing to do with intelligence. It has everything to do with control. Because when you lose control of your mind, you lose control of your choices. And when you lose control of your choices, you lose control of the outcome. So if you want to make the right decisions in high-pressure situations, you don't need more intelligence. You need a strategy. A way to strip away the noise, separate fact from feeling, and force yourself into a state of clarity when everything around you is chaotic. Because here's the real danger. When people lose clarity, they don't just hesitate. They react emotionally. They jump to conclusions. They make impulsive moves.